What's up, gamers? I'm your host, Cobra, and this is Freeroll Friday. Freeroll Friday is a new format for the channel. Essentially, the way that it's going to work is that every Friday I will be releasing a new episode of Freeroll Fridays. The goal here is to be less project specific and taking a greater look at the overall play and earn market. So if you want to stay on top of the play and earn marketplace in general, if you want to learn more about games that are being developed and launched right now, if you want to improve as a NFT gaming trader, then this is the show for you. So what can you expect from Freeroll Fridays? First, we're going to start every week with a market update, and we're going to do this by taking a look at 6 different projects that I have hand selected to get an update on their various floor prices. Now, these projects represent the overall marketplace very well because they are primarily the most popular projects out there. They're also ones that we feel have a good potential for success in the future and are going to help dictate the success of other smaller projects that are sure to follow in their footsteps. We're also going to do a project update every week, and while the majority of these will be NFT games, it can also cover different marketplaces or tools or platforms that are of course naturally related to play and earn gaming. And then most weeks we're also going to do a trading tip. This will be where I give you one specific tip that I use every single day for NFT trading in an effort to help you improve your own trading skills. We'll also do a portfolio or purchase breakdown or analysis. So I'll take a look at a specific transaction that I made over the course of the last week and give you my thought process behind why I made that transaction so that we can both keep an eye on how I'm doing and you can hopefully improve from seeing my approach. So let's jump right into our first weekly market update, and we start with arguably the biggest project in NFT history, Yuga Labs' Otherside Otherdeeds. Now, this is going to be an important one to track as it is the biggest and most visible project in the space. It's also one that has some development and announcements still to come, so there is a lot of speculation still in the marketplace. That said, over the last week, ever since Ape Fest, we've seen the floor on Otherdeeds steadily rising from about 2 ETH all the way up to almost 3 ETH yesterday. When I checked the market this morning for the analysis, it's down to about 2.8, but that is the first pullback that we have seen in several days. Either way, this is a very good sign, and because Otherside is our project update, we're going to do a little bit more analysis on this secondary movement in the next segment. Moving on, Illuvium completed its land sale a couple of weeks ago, and at the conclusion of the sale, the floor price for a Tier 1 land, which is the cheapest plot that you can purchase, was about 0.35 Ethereum, a little bit higher than we were expecting here at the Freeroll, and therefore we still haven't picked up any land ourselves. Today, the price is actually up to almost 0.5 Ethereum, which is surprising, but is a good sign for the strength of the project. Our second entrant, which is also on Immutable X, is Guild of Guardians. You can get yourself a rare hero, which is a usable in-game NFT character for 0.0045, which is about $5 based on today's Ethereum price, and crazy inexpensive compared to the prices that we saw for everything Guild of Guardians related at the beginning of the year and the end of last year. The spot where I keep a closer eye on, though, is the legendary heroes and pets, and while those are also down, their scarcity is much more reasonable and not being hit quite as hard. Riot Racers is our only actively operating game that we're watching, and it is also the only one that operates on the Polygon L2. Those prices have been down a little bit as the project is getting ready for its next big release. You can currently get the cheapest class of car from the Artemis class for 0.035. An Apollo car, which is slightly better, is going to run you 0.04. A Genesis car is going to run you 0.1. All of those are down a bit from their high about a month ago. A Genesis driver is going to run you about 0.04 as well, although you can opt for an Artemis driver for a little bit less than that. Frontier is another unreleased project that we have been following closely on this channel for many months, and it is one that tends to swing quite a bit up and down. Project has several different NFTs to keep track of, but the ones that I like to keep an eye on for an overall measurement of the project are the Stellar Key, which is currently going for just under 5 ETH, the Data Key, which is going for 0.4 ETH, the Lucky Watcher, which is just under 0.5 ETH, and because of the current events, we're watching the zeros closely, and those are just below 0.09. And finally, because Parallel is also one of the biggest projects out there in terms of investment, both from the community and the VC community, we're going to keep an eye on that project as well. The overall floor is at a minuscule 0.002 Ethereum, which is right next to free. The SE floor, and these are really the cards that you're going to want for their staking system, is also very low at 0.0075, a little bit more than the overall floor, but relatively inexpensive. Keep in mind there are a variety of rarities within the SE collection, so you're not going to be able to get everything for that cheap. Finally, the most important asset NFT in the collection is without a doubt the Prime Key. Those have been as high as 40 ETH at its peak, and they currently sit at about 13 ETH. Now, today's project update, as I teased in the market update, is on Otherside Otherdeeds. And the reason why we're talking about them today is because they have seen a significant amount of volume and movement over the last week. Now, why is that? I mentioned before that Ape Fest was a good reminder of how strong a project Yuga Labs leads, and likely got some potential buyers excited. But more important than that, they announced that on July 16th, there's going to be a playtest demo of some sorts. The details for this are very limited, as you can see from the tweet here on my right, but we do know that it's going to be happening in a couple of weeks, and it's safe to anticipate we'll get at least a little bit more news leading up to that demo. The demo itself is likely to tell us quite a bit about the actual game and metaverse that we're going to be operating in, and therefore it's very exciting for the market, and I expect to see a lot of speculation and buying leading up to the demo itself. The other thing to keep in mind here is that the floor got as low as 2 ETH, and ETH, his prices crashed as well. So when you compare the all-time high in US dollars of value for a Otherside deed, it is significantly below that at today's prices. I don't expect it to stay there forever, and do believe that this demo is likely going to provide at least a temporary pump. You are going to need to have a deed if you want to participate in the demo itself. And it's time for our weekly trading tip. Today we are talking about mint identifying tools. The first of the two tools is dgen.mint, and I really love this one because it is a clean and simple to understand tool. What it is showing you on the right side is live mints as they are happening. On the left side is a summary of the different mints that are happening that day, so you can see their overall progress. If you click on a project on any side, it will bring up in the middle additional information about the project, including important links to their contract and potentially their website as well if one exists. This is a great way to see which free mints are getting the most attention and therefore most likely to sell out and have some action on secondary. I love the clean user interface, and therefore this is a great one for secondary monitors to keep an eye on what's going on in the marketplace. But it is not a robust tool, so you're not going to be doing anything other than observing. The second tool doesn't have quite as clean a UI, but is a far more robust tool in and of itself, and it is completely free, at least for today. It is called Rarity Garden, and I have linked that for you below. It is a tremendous tool. It does quite a lot of things that we'll likely talk about in the future, but for today, right on the home page on the right side is a mint tracker, and this is essentially the same information that you're seeing on the previous tool. However, Rarity Garden has a really cool feature in that when you click on one of those projects, if it's still minting, you can mint directly from the tool right on that page, which is a tremendous time saver. And our final segment for the week is our very first purchase breakdown, and we are going to stay on theme this week and talk about an Otherside deed that I purchased. Now, want to talk more about Otherside because we've covered it very little on this channel, but also because it's been the most newsworthy project of the week, and I expect is going to stay newsworthy for the next couple of weeks. And in case any of you are interested in going shopping for a deed yourself, I wanted to provide some of the analysis that guided my purchase decision. Here is the deed that we picked up this week, and the reason why I picked up another deed is very simple. I accidentally sold one. If you're familiar with Looks Rare Farming, I had a deed listed fairly aggressively, and that bit me this week as the floor rose overnight and I woke up to a sold deed that I didn't intend to sell. So I had some extra ETH and really wanted to replace it because I expect to see the floor continue to improve, and I also expect that there's still quite a few inefficiencies out there in the market. So let's take a look at why I chose this particular deed as my replacement. Here at the Freeroll, we are big believers in efficiency, and when it comes to taking advantage of a secondary market, that means trying to find inefficiencies that we can capitalize on. There are a whole bunch of different traits and aspects to Otherside deeds, and because they have explained very little of what is on there, there's a lot of speculation in the marketplace about what certain things mean. If you are looking for a deed that has an artifact, you're going to pay a premium. If you're looking for a deed that has a coda, you're going to pay a significant premium. And that's because it's pretty easy to speculate that those are going to be valuable items when the game actually releases. But there's a whole bunch of other traits that the market has had a difficult time putting any real value on because we don't know what they mean or how they impact gameplay or ownership of our deeds. And there are two things that I look at that I believe will have real value in the future that really have not been priced into the marketplace today. The first and most significant of those is environment tier. And the one that we picked up is a tier 4 environment. That is the second highest that you can get. Tier 5s do carry a little bit of a premium today, but a tier 4, you can just about always find at least one or two of them listed right at the floor or just slightly above it. And we picked this one up for 2.96, and at the time the floor was at 2.92, so that is basically a floor price. The reason why I like environment here is when you look at the artwork on the deeds, the lower the tier of the environment, the smaller the land actually looks. Now, we don't have any scale on the land, so we can't actually say if it is truly larger or smaller, but just from looking at the features on the land, the tier 1s are very basic and appear kind of small, and the tier 5s are very involved and look a lot bigger. And we know from other metaverse projects that a common trait is the size of the plot. Now, we don't know if environment here actually is the size of the plot here, but my guess is that it is going to have some impact, if not total control, over the number of players that can interact on your land at any given time. And if we were right about that, then tier 4 and tier 5 plots are significantly undervalued when we compare to other metaverse land projects. The other factor that seems to have no real value in the marketplace today, simply because I don't think people even have a good speculation guess on what kind of factor it will involve, and that is sediment tier. Tier 1 being the most common and Tier 3 being the most rare. Tier 3 sediment really has no value in the secondary market today. However, there's no chance that it means nothing, and my guess is that it is going to be some sort of a multiple or factor on the resources that you can farm from your land itself. Now, the resources have their own tiers as well, so it'll be interesting to see how those two things interact together, if at all. But again, there's no chance that it's meaningless. And so, because that's the case, I will only consider purchasing a deed that is Tier 3 sediment, simply because there tends to be no additional cost to getting Tier 3. Final factor for why we chose this deed is an aesthetic one. This environment is called Mallow. You can probably guess why. It looks like there is marshmallow stretched all over it, and we love marshmallows, so I thought that was a cool one to pick up and is what I used as my tiebreaker. And that wraps up our first Freeroll Friday. I hope you found this entertaining and valuable. If so, consider giving us a follow on Twitter. That's where I love to engage with the Play and Earn community and answer your questions. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. It really helps to support the channel.